Welcome to the Business Leaders Legacy Podcast, the show where we go behind the scenes of business leaders to uncover their vision, strategies, and challenges they faced along the way. My name is Chris Bruner. I'm the CEO of Simple A Solutions and the host of today's podcast. I'm excited to have Chad Harrison from franchise development manager at Authority Brands. Chad is known for his passion in guiding aspiring entrepreneurs through a process of owning their own home service franchise, helping them find the right fit within Authority Brands' diverse portfolio. Chad, thank you for being here. I'm excited to dive into more about what you do, but please first, can you share a little bit about your journey, what you do, and who you help?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Chris, and it's a pleasure. My journey, very much different than what I'm in right now in terms of franchising. And so I was in restaurant management for some time and became a big foodie, right? And so we used to live up in New Jersey, so we went to the city all the time, New York City, they've got some of the best restaurants in the world, and but worked in restaurant management for some time, a number of different types of concepts, high end to a more casual, but did that for some time. And then COVID came about and shifted and adjusted. And I was still in the industry, but then it started to open up. We moved from New Jersey down where I am in North Carolina now. And so that started opening up. And I was like, all right, what else is out there? What other opportunities? And so came across franchising, and the first thing you think of in franchising is just what you see as you're driving around, McDonald's and so forth. But it's such a big industry, outside of just Authority Brands itself as that franchisor. There's so many others. You've got accounting, you've got staffing, and then you even have, there's like medical devices and such. And so, I guess essentially at the end of the day, if they've got a winning formula or a business model, there's a potential for it to be franchised and scaled up and grown that way.
Yeah.
So, two very different industries.
Yeah, no, that's cool though. It's cool to see how you came to be where you're at today. And so that is exciting. And so, being where you are today and just in the franchise business, helping entrepreneurs figure out like what works best and how to navigate that, like looking into franchising. What I wanted to know, like, what do you enjoy most about helping people, right? Helping someone go from, the potential business owner to a successful franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and that's the part of our business that really becomes, exciting and something you find it kind of drives you and encourages you to continue to stay in the business and grow your own experience. And that's just because to your question, it's seeing, and actually we just had our summit this last Monday and Tuesday where all the franchisees for Duty Calls got together, and we did this in Nashville. And that's probably the best way of kind of putting it, answering that question is the end result, seeing the transformation from these entrepreneurs when they're coming in from corporate life, or maybe they even have just been laid off. There's a lot of that going IT, Bay Areas and such. And then they get the opportunities and see the opening, they see the possibilities. And as we go through the process, learn about the model. And a lot of franchisees now came up to me and just, hey, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity and learning about this business, and changed my life. So it's the end result, I think, is that what is exciting is changing lives. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. That's really interesting. It's so cool, like the impact that you can have on that, like the impact that people, when their lives are changed and they're like take a big risk and
Mm-hmm.
and a step out into the like this
Yeah.
new section of their career, and then to see it all come together and be such
Mm-hmm.
a rewarding thing. And that's cool. Yeah, that totally makes sense. That's exciting. And I know Authority Brands has a large family of brands in the franchise. What do you think is the single most important thing when matching an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
to the needs of a specific franchise or
Mm-hmm.
certain opportunities?
Yeah, so specifically, I work with duty calls, pet waste management, which is just we have a lot of fun with the brand because what we're, conceptually what we're doing, we're number one and the number two business kind of stuff, but it's pet waste management at the end of the day. But then we have trades and we have cleaning, cleaning authority is just commercial and residential cleaning. But even with all those brands, and though they're all home services, but different services and how what they provide in the home. Um, to your question, I think that the most important characteristics is first of all that they can follow the system, that they come in and they because the franchise model is that system is a proven system, and so you don't want to come in and try to change anything. Just follow the system. We always have tweaks and such, software updates and such enhancements, but follow the system and then staying engaged with the team. Engagement's a big part of success, and we see it too. We tie it to a lot of our success. Um, I think those two factors are probably some of the biggest ones that will key into it, whether or not someone is the right fit for a franchise. Hmm.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. And it's I feel like when you have a proven method, right, and you're able to franchise it and you have
Hmm.
people coming in and it's like, yeah, like that makes sense. It's figured out, right? That's like half the battle for entrepreneurs and starting businesses is like figuring out like not just like what you do and how you do it, but like coming to the market in the correct way and having it all like dialed in and
Yep.
packaged in, like a business in a package. And it's like, here you
Mm.
go, just, follow the steps and do it. That's yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, like
That's
a roadmap in that way. And a lot of individuals will come in and it's a fear factor for them. It's like you mentioned before, hey, I'm stepping outside. I've been in 25 years in corporate life and consistent paycheck, even though, there's always the possibility there of layoffs and consolidation, whatever it might be. But it definitely helps that fear factor for new business owners too, that they have that model, you know, um, and it's yeah, and it can be a game changer. It makes it exciting for sure.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. You know what? Thinking about like, I wanted to shift to a little bit of like trends within the industry.
Hmm.
When you think of like, or what are some like common challenges or
Hmm.
concerns you hear from people when they start getting into the franchise and what does Authority Brands like do to help those challenges?
Yeah, in some cases, challenges could be finances on the front end. Um, let's say it's just a matter of funding, and so we have a lot of creative ways on our end to help them with internal funding in certain scenarios. And there's so many other options out there too as well, so we can help guide them and direct them in that
Yeah.
way. Um, and then some of the other challenges they're going to come across again is to that fear factor that I mentioned, and to just seeing it from our current business owners, their perspective. So it's called through our process, we number of different steps that we go through. One of them is validation. So where they actually get to chat with our current existing franchisees. They chat with even our brand president at some point. So the whole process just kind of builds in that confidence for them, gives them that, as we call it, like that day in the life of, so that way they can begin to kind of, because they got so many questions and they come in like, what does this look like? What's my potentially what can I make? And, what's required of me. So it's just, it's a great process that really answers a lot of those questions. But yeah, it's that day in the life, and just our process can answer a lot of these questions.
Yeah, no, that
Mhm.
that makes sense. Are there any like new like trends or technologies or
Mhm.
anything like that that you're seeing as you're, matching, getting people set up and just, in the
Mhm.
business itself?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, a big trend that we're seeing, and the majority of authority brands is moving this direction, if not already there, is AI, is call center. Call center being covered by right now. We have currently a live team, and I think we'll probably always maintain that,
Hmm.
just because of that human touch
Yeah.
during your regular work hours. They work late into the week and they cover some of the weekends, but then off hours. we have, instead of just having a voicemail, which was always the game in the past, now we have AI that'll cover it. And his name is Sarah, and jokingly call her duty bot, right? But she covers the odd hours. And then here's the one of the advantages, which in the summit I learned about. I never thought about it before, but all the spam that comes through the bots, our Sarah, our AI will capture that and cut it off so it can't proceed forward.
Mm.
And so those would be calls that's waking up a potential, business owner at 11 at night, like, oh, I got to get the call, I got a customer, and it's not, it's a bot. So there's a lot of efficiencies that come from that call center, and then AI too as well. That's one of the trends. And then, yeah, that's probably the biggest one I see right now. Um,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
AI is definitely making a big impact in like a
yeah,
wide variety of ways. And
right.
yeah, there is definitely lots of, I think what you'd mentioned, like using it for the off hours and still
Hmm.
keeping that human touch, right? Keeping
Yeah.
that human touch when leveraging AI is like so
Hmm.
important. And so it's
Hmm.
like they still want to talk to people. They want to connect with
Yeah.
people, right? And so when it comes to using AI in that way, you definitely have to use it strategically. And it sounds like you guys are doing that. So that's cool.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to know like a little bit more, when it comes to, just talking about like more about within the business, when it comes to like finding new people and interest in owning a franchise, what channels or methods are you guys finding most effective right now to generate, those types of leads?
Mm. Yeah, and that was going to be one of the other points I'd make in terms of like trends, and so it comes perfectly in with this question as well. Is the marketing side? Is the marketing, which is, I mean, it really is a rabbit hole that you can go down. There's just so many components, and so with Authority Brands being a multi-billion-dollar business, we have the capital, the knowledge, the talent to implement then marketing strategies that'll get us to that next level. I mean, things are changing constantly. Again, something I learned in the summit, that they're changing constantly on how Google performs, on how they rate you, whether you stay present and accounted for, whether people can see you on digital side. So there's so much that goes to that end of the even for poop cleaning up business, pet waste management. We always joke around, we're pretty sophisticated for a pet waste management company, but it's so vital to the success of any kind of business, and to our franchises, is that marketing aspect of it, staying again, present and accounted for, and being visually in front of our customers. So, and again, so many components there.
Yeah, no, there really is. It really gets very very tricky. It's like a
Mhm.
difficult thing to navigate, but having the
Mhm.
resources and having the time and the investments to do that
Right.
makes a huge impact. And so
Right.
that is awesome. And I wanted to know like what currently is working really well within, your role within the franchise development
Mhm.
industry right now? Anything that you're like really proud of or any success stories
Mhm.
or anything like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we've got some great success stories. So we've got, some franchisees. I mean, again, changing their lives. So we've got one gentleman who was just like myself some time ago, hospitality. He runs two restaurants. They both gross between around 6 million plus between those two restaurants, and it's just, again, the restaurant business will kind of pull you into it, and take away your weekends and late hours. And so he's looking for a way out, right? He's looking, okay, eventually I've got my plan, X amount of years, I'll exit. And so he came in with duty calls. And so, um, the potential to change your life, to improve from what you're doing right now in terms of hospitality to getting into this business. And so, that's where this model, again, with duty calls, and a lot of our franchises, I mean, you can come in here as what we call as like a semi-absentee owner. You can have a technician doing the job for you. So you don't necessarily have to be the one picking up, and scooping, so to speak, or even doing the electrical or HVAC. You could have the team in place. And so it's a big advantage for someone to come in, manage the business, grow it, and not, instead of working in it, working on it. Um, and so there's just there's so many aspects from that, and so much more again to be proud of with this model. Our operations team is a key to successful franchise, is having the right team, brand president. Um, but just the simplicity of the model,
Yeah,
simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and the fact
yeah,
that we're just as simple as we are, but we have automation, our software route, it's a route optimization software, so make sure the team is running smoothly and
yeah,
have the most efficient route. Call centers I mentioned before, the marketing end, so just an overall success.
yeah. No, and
Mhm.
that makes sense, and it is very very interesting, right? Like having, it's like you don't having like a model made for you, right? You don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? And so that's yeah, no, it's interesting, and on the flip side of that though, every business there's like challenges, there's bumps,
Mhm.
there's I'm
Yeah.
wondering if maybe you can share a recent or current challenge that you may be going through, and like what have you learned through that?
Yeah, yeah. So again, it's challenges top of mind is again, like you mentioned before, is being efficient in the process to because sometimes we do see that maybe it's not the right fit for some, and we come to that conclusion, and that's what for me, and this is usually part of the first conversation I'll have with someone, is that I'm not sales, I'm not here to persuade them one way or the other. I'm here to go through the process, support, meet, connecting with the team, and so I'm getting better on my end in terms of recognizing, all right, you know what, and maybe it's just this model, but maybe this model isn't maybe the best fit due to time restraints, or just
Mhm.
a good example is an individual in California, and just with what he had going on for this family, he had no time, and we have to be responsible in our business because someone's going to make, like you mentioned before at the beginning of the conversation, large investment, put a lot of time, commitment. And so the right thing to do is just, have that conversation, let them know, hey, this is just not the right fit because you're going to need to put in time to the business.
Yeah.
So those can be challenging questions. And I've definitely gotten better and I think the key is for efficiency's sake for his time is seeing that on the front end, asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Mm,
No, and that is huge, right? And
yeah.
and as like an entrepreneur and wanting to know more and weighing out your options and
Right.
knowing that there's like not someone there just trying to like sell you in and get you into
Right.
it and
Yeah.
make it look like it's all, grass is greener on the other side, and
Right.
but being real with it and like, hey, like
Hmm.
this is actually going to take this, and being able to tell someone like, hey, I don't think this is the best model for you. That's
Yeah.
actually like that's huge, right? I'm sure like so many entrepreneurs like that makes them feel like, oh, like I can trust you and can like,
Right.
looking out for the best interest, and
Yeah.
and I know it's like you also like you want them to succeed. And so
Sure.
if
Right.
it's if it's not, if you can kind of see down the line like, oh, like it's going to be really difficult to succeed
Hmm.
because of these circumstances, like giving that's huge though. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I wanted to shift a little bit and talk about like the future. When you think about like, the next like 6 months to a year,
Yeah.
what's like a goal that you're focusing on achieving within, the franchise development or within the business, or what's a goal?
Yeah, so we each year, we have goals in mind of how many entrepreneurs we're wanting to bring into the network. And that's just due to the excitement. We see the potential in some of these territories that are available right now. Like for instance, we'll say as an example, Naples, Florida has got so much potential, Louisville, Kentucky. And we go by demographics, and so we can map these out. So we generally say, that with the potential we see, you know, managing it responsibly to, potentially, up to 30 new entrepreneurs coming in. And in the last couple of years, we've been on pace for about 25 each year. But this year, we're thinking definitely just the potential of as you get the right team in place, and
Yeah.
so forth. So that's one of our goals is just the excitement of getting, and where I think we've already added 5 new entrepreneurs already to this point this year. We
Yeah.
just added 2 last Friday. So it's exciting, and to set those goals to think of those lifestyle changes. They come in and introduce and meet the brand and make that yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that is exciting, right? Like
Mhm.
having growth and striving over like, however much that is, 5% or whatever. No, more, that's more than that. That's like 20%, and
Mm-hmm.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's awesome. My math is probably off. I shouldn't have
Oh
tried
yeah.
to
Well, I
think over
was.
that on the top of my head.
I was a business admin, in finance was my concentration. And I always
Yeah.
joke around. I'm like, I'm terrible at math, though. I was always good at relationship building,
Yeah,
though,
yeah, yeah.
with my
That,
professors.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, no, it's yeah, but that's awesome. Striving for that growth is huge, and
Yeah.
how do you see the home service franchise, the landscape evolving, right?
Yeah.
How are you maybe like preparing to continue, to serve these entrepreneurs and
Mhm.
as like, the environment's always changing. Like you
Mhm.
mentioned AI and how that's
Yeah.
making an impact and a difference. But yeah, how do you see the franchise evolving?
Yeah, I would say, and again to that, it's like perfect timing for us, you and me, to chat too, right after the summit. We see adding additional revenue streams. So right now, and this is where, and you'll see a lot of business models, like even in HVAC right now, what they do is they come in and they do like annual or semi-annual checkup on your, and that's a subscription-based cash flow for them. So that's a great way for them to expand their revenue. And so these are opportunities for brands, and for us,
So
it's
sorry.
adding more revenue streams. So,
Real quick,
you
we're I think we're getting a little bit of bad connection.
oh,
Let's at least on my end, you like were quiet there for like 5, 6 seconds, and I think you were
okay,
still talking, but the screen kind of
okay.
froze for a second. Sorry. We
Self,
can go ahead.
probably
Yeah,
probably my connection.
it happens.
Thanks,
It
Chris.
happens every once in a while. It could be
Okay.
mine too. There's all the time. They're like the power's out. Cox is down. I don't know if you have like a Ring app, but my wife and I laugh all the time because on the Ring, people all the time are like, Cox is down. Does anyone know what's going on? And we're just like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
this is the Ring app for like it's not for chatting. It's just funny.
Yeah.
Uh, side thing. But let's
No,
let's keep moving
like,
forward.
okay.
I'll ask the question again and then
Perfect.
we can jump right
Okay.
into it. Where was I? Right here. Okay. Um, so how do you see the home service franchise? Oh, actually, one sec. I'm gonna say it's a lot easier to like notice the editing if I'm quiet for a few
Mm,
seconds. Just
mm.
makes it quicker and easier. I'm gonna stay quiet for a few seconds and then I'll
Okay.
ask the question.
So you can pinpoint. Okay.
How do you see the home service franchise landscape evolving, and how are you preparing to continue to serve those entrepreneurs in that changing environment?
Yeah. So I think, with the involvement there, it's evolving in a direction of adding more revenue streams. And for us specifically, and really all the other brands in any business at the end of the day, how can we increase that average ticket price? How can we add more services that we can provide for our customers? And so I think it's going that direction and adding more revenue streams for us. That's our opportunity going down. And as I mentioned before, we just had our summit. So it's great timing that you and I are connecting now to kind of freshen my mind that we can chat about it. And so that's one of the opportunities we see as we go forward in 26.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm excited to see what will come out of it and where you guys will go. And yeah, all kudos to like just striving and pursuing that growth, right? And so that's
Yeah,
awesome.
thanks.
Well, Chad, I've really enjoyed the conversation that we've been able to have today. I think a lot of like the insights and just your perspective and sharing about what you do, I think it's really valuable. I think a lot of the business leaders listening on here will have a great time listening and just hearing more about you and your business and just what you guys are doing within it. And
Mhm.
so, but before we go, can you share with some of our listeners where they can learn more
Mhm.
about your business and what you guys have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. If they go on to whether website, Duty Calls website for franchise owners, they'll find that selection there, and they can input some data, and I'll reach out. Well, our team will reach out to them, or they can even connect with me on LinkedIn too as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well,
thanks for
thank you. To close, I'd like to ask one last question since this is the Business Leaders Legacy podcast and you being a business leader in franchise development, can you please share what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
I love it. That's a great question. I think legacy in terms of maybe something that my children, I've got three girls, can learn from me in terms of as they go into the business world. Um, you know, showing that goals can you can set those goals and you can achieve them by having realistic goals and then the metrics to meet them, right? And I think probably the simplest way to put it too is just have fun, right? Go out there if you love what you do. It doesn't feel like work, and to have fun and build the relationships. I love that part of it. You and I, as we connected, that's the fun part of the conversation and yeah, beating those goals, right?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I always love it. I always ask this question. I love it when people always tie their legacy to like the impact it will have, but also just like the impact it has like on their family, right? Those
Yeah,
closest people. So that's
yeah,
really cool. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chad. I really appreciate it.
absolutely.
To all of our listeners out there, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the conversation, please subscribe, like, follow, and share. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next time. Thank you again, Chad.
Okay, Chris, appreciate it.